So when it comes to core training, there are a lot of ideas out there, a lot of misconceptions too. There's starting to be a lot of advances though made in the strength and conditioning field and just the wellness field in itself. And one of the big things that is starting to be uncovered is the negative side effects that come with loaded spinal flexion. Now, some people tend to have the approach that something is better than nothing. I don't have that approach, and that is not the idea that I will guide you guys through on any of my videos. If somebody comes in, they're underweight, I'm not going to recommend McDonald's to them. I'm going to recommend a very specific diet. So, when it comes to core training, we're going to take the same exact approach. When it comes to our abdominals, one area that this is especially important in remembering the length-tension relationship is in people with extra visceral fat. The visceral fat around your organs is going to push against your abdominals, making them in a constant lengthened position. This is going to lead to them being chronically weak. So some people, actually a classmate of mine turned me on to the idea of this. In reducing waist size, he recommended crunches, and at first this infuriated me as a strength coach inside of my head, because we hear all the time, crunches are bad, crunches are bad, crunches are bad. But when you really take a step back and look at it, remembering all the concepts that we know, crunches or abdominal training, not crunches, are very, very, very important in controlling people with extended waists. Now, what I tend to recommend for abdominal training is going to be anti-movement exercises. The core is a structural muscle group more than anything. Not as much of a movement muscle group. It is, but its primary job, first and foremost, is going to be structural. Now again, because of the distended belly, there not only is the strength of the abdominal group going to be thrown off, also there's going to be nerve interference on the nerves that innervate the abdominal muscle group, and that's because of the traction put onto them from the visceral fat. So today what I'm going to be showing you guys is going to be a lot of anti-flexion exercises, anti-lateral bending exercises, and anti-rotation exercises. And some may say, you know, abs, like we don't have to be that careful with them, we can't break. But I know a guy, one of my mentors, he has broken his back, and since then still is squatting over 1,000 pounds, sticking to these principles. He has had over 50 competition lifts, squats at over 1,000 pounds, sticking to these principles. So you can say no pain, no gain, but in the end of the day, the athlete that works smarter is always going to be more successful in the end than the athlete that works harder. It's not always about hard work. It's about using your head and then working hard at intelligent ideas. So today, I'm going to show you these ideas. Alright, so the first one of these exercises is going to be an anti-extension exercise. This is going to be an ab rollout. For an ab rollout, I like to do it with my knees slightly elevated. I feel like it lets you start loading your body a little bit earlier in the movement, opposed to the beginning of the range of motion being very, very unloaded, like it would typically if you're just resting your knees or your feet on the ground. For this exercise, also a way to make it a little bit more difficult is to put a plate on your back or to wear a weighted vest. I definitely recommend trying them out first and making sure you have the technique perfect before you advance to doing either one of those. So to get started, what we want to be doing on these is maintaining a neutral spine. So how we're going to do this is we're really going to focus on making sure our glutes are staying activated during the movement and not letting our abs come through. So we're trying to maintain neutral spine. So we'll start by grabbing onto the roller, start with a neutral spine, and then I'm going to come out just as far as I can maintain that neutral position in my spine. And then bring it back towards you. Just like that. Right, the next movement that I'm going to be showing you is an anti-lateral bending movement. This movement is called a suitcase carry, and it is one of my favorite exercises for working internal, external oblique, also rectus abdominis, transversus abdominis. So for this exercise, what we really want to try to do is not let the shoulder holding the weight dip down. We also want to stay fairly rigid when we're walking, not rotating side to side like so. So we're walking right here, trying to take nice even steps with each foot and maintain a neutral head position as well. Right here, just walking all the way down, fighting, letting that side bend down. Once you get down there, switching hands, same thing on the way back. Fighting that lateral bending. And really taking shorter steps rather than longer steps, making sure that they're as symmetrical as possible on both sides. This exercise is definitely a game of symmetry, and that's what we want to be focusing on. That's what those abdominal groups are there to do. All right, the next exercise that we're going to be working on is called the pallid press. This can be performed a variety of ways. I'm going to show you a really easy way that most people can get away with doing it. Pretty much every gym has resistance bands and squat racks. If not, you shouldn't be going there for sure. So for this one, what we're going to be doing is we grab the band with our outside hand first, and then we're going to overlap the inside hand. We're going to take a couple steps back, and I like to see people pretty much get in a narrower shoulder width squat stance. So a little bit narrower than maybe your competition squat stance. We're going to be right here, a very slight bend in the knees and a very slight opening of the hips. So we're going to be here. Again, very minute. And what we're doing is we're going to be maintaining that neutral spine while we push our arms straight out, hold it for probably about 5 seconds, bring it back to us. So when it gets out away from us, it gets much harder to stabilize it, and we have to recruit those anti-rotation muscle groups in our core. Bring it back, pushing it back out. On this one, another big point is I'm keeping my chest up. I'm not letting it fall forward. Same thing as any movement that we do in the gym. Stabilizing all the usual spots. Just like that.